The creepy science behind why we dream about falling. Number 1. The sudden drop. Imagine you're finally drifting off. The day's anxieties melting away. And just as you're about to achieve peak comfort, your body decides to play a cruel trick. Bam! You're plummeting from the sky. Or off a cliff. Or maybe just off your incredibly unsupportive mattress. This isn't just a bad dream, it's a hypnic jerk. And your brain, in its infinite wisdom, is basically screaming, "Wake up, you lazy sack of protoplasm." What's happening here is your muscles, which have been happily relaxing as you descend into the glorious land of Nod, suddenly get a frantic message from your brain that sounds suspiciously like a fire alarm. Your brain, in its sleepy stupor, misinterprets the relaxation of your muscles as a sign that you're actually falling. And in a desperate attempt to save you from an imaginary splat, it sends a jolt through your system, often accompanied by a vivid, if fleeting, dream of a sudden drop. It's like your internal alarm clock has a severe case of overthinking, mistaking your comfortable descent into slumber for a perilous plunge. So, next time you feel like you're doing a skydiving routine in your sleep, just remember, your brain is merely trying to keep you from becoming a human pancake, even if you're just attempting to catch some Z's. Number 2. Evolution's ancient alarm. Let's rewind a few 100,000 years. Back when your ancestors were living in trees, or at least trying not to fall out of them, a sudden jolt, a slip, or an unexpected drop was a pretty big deal. It could mean the difference between a tasty berry and becoming a saber-toothed tiger's lunch. Our brains are incredibly old pieces of biological machinery, and some of their programming hasn't quite caught up with the invention of the mattress. The falling sensation, especially the hypnic jerk we talked about earlier, might be a remnant of an ancient reflex designed to prevent actual falls. When your primate ancestors started to nod off in the branches of a tree, any sudden muscle relaxation could be interpreted by the primitive brain as a sign of losing grip. The ensuing jolt would then serve as an immediate wake-up call. A frantic, "Hey, don't fall out of the tree, you dingbat," from your primordial gray matter. So, when you're plummeting in your dreams, it's not just a figment of your imagination, it's a deeply ingrained evolutionary hangover, a panic button that's been wired into our nervous system for millennia. Even though the only branch you're currently in danger of falling from is the one you're sawing off in your mind. Number 3. The paralysis panic. Ever wonder why you don't flail around like a caffeinated octopus when you're dreaming of flying or, in our case, plummeting? That, my friends, is the magic of sleep paralysis. And it plays a starring role in your falling dreams. As you dive deeper into REM sleep, the stage where most vivid dreaming occurs, your brain wisely decides to hit the off switch on most of your voluntary muscles. This is a survival mechanism, preventing you from actually acting out your dreams and, say, punching your bedpost when you're dreaming of fighting a dragon, or, falling to your demise. But sometimes, the brain's timing is a little off. You might momentarily become aware while your body is still in this paralyzed state. The disconnect between your conscious mind being awake and your body being offline can be incredibly disorienting. When you dream you're falling, and your body can't actually move to brace for impact, the sensation is amplified. Your brain gets a conflicting signal, "I'm falling," from the dream, and "I can't move," from your body's paralysis. This confusion can intensify the feeling of helplessness and the sheer terror of the fall. It's like your brain is a B-movie director, and it's decided to add a touch of real-life horror to your dream sequence by trapping you in a non-responsive body. Number 4. Symbolic freefall. Beyond the purely physiological explanations, falling dreams often carry a hefty dose of psychological symbolism. Your brain, being the poetic drama queen it is, loves to use metaphors to process your waking life. If you're dreaming of falling, it can be a direct reflection of feelings of helplessness, a lack of control, or instability in your life. Are you losing your grip on a relationship, a job, or perhaps your sanity after that third cup of coffee? Your brain might be translating that into a literal freefall. It's the ultimate visual representation of things spiraling out of control. This isn't necessarily a prophecy, but more of a subconscious flag waver, trying to get your attention about something you might be avoiding or not fully acknowledging during your waking hours. It's like your internal therapist has decided to communicate through a series of terrifying, nonverbal performance art pieces. So, if you're constantly plummeting, it might be time for a mental check-in, because your subconscious is clearly trying to tell you something about your real-world equilibrium. Number 5. The brain's last stand against boredom. Alright, so we've talked about ancient reflexes, stress, and sensory mix-ups, but let's be honest, sometimes your brain just gets a little dramatic. In the grand scheme of things, your brain hates boredom more than a cat hates baths. When you're lying there, trying to fall asleep, and there's not much external stimulation, your brain might decide to create its own internal fireworks. A falling dream, particularly the hypnic jerk, can be seen as your brain's last-ditch effort to keep itself entertained before it powers down for the night. It's like a tiny, internal jump scare, designed to elicit a quick, visceral reaction. Your brain, having been fed a steady diet of TikToks and YouTube shorts all day, isn't content to just quietly power down. Oh no, it needs one last thrill, one final burst of dramatic input before it settles into its maintenance mode. So, in a way, your falling dreams are just your brain being a bit of a show-off, proving it can still scare the living daylights out of you even when you're literally doing nothing. Number 6. The hitting the ground paradox. It's the ultimate cliffhanger, the moment of truth, the split second before you go splat, and then you wake up. Almost every single time, it's like your brain has a built-in safety mechanism that says, "Alright, that's enough trauma for one night, but why don't we actually experience the impact in these dreams?" There are a few theories. One is that your brain, which is a master of self-preservation, simply can't process the sensation of death or severe injury, since it hasn't experienced it in real life, and hopefully never will. It doesn't have a blueprint for what hitting the ground feels like. So, it hits the eject button, jolting you awake. Another idea ties back to the hypnic jerk. The sudden muscle contraction is precisely what prevents the full impact from being realized in the dream. It's the brain's emergency stop, preventing you from mentally experiencing something it knows would be, well, quite permanent. It's like your subconscious is a strict parent, pulling you back from the edge of the playground before you actually faceplant. Your brain is essentially saying, "We've had enough fun with existential dread for now, time to reset before things get really messy." That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.